Just when you thought it was safe to get back into the water, Shart Week. Hey guys, today we're talking about all those super chlorination and special treatment situations that you may run into in a pool, mainly residential pools. We're not really going to go deep into CDC requirements for commercial pools, but a lot of good information on some of the nasty stuff that gets in the pools and how we need to take care of it. So let's learn some pool stuff.
Hey guys, welcome to the deep end with
Frank
and Jackie, his sidekick in life and on the air.
We've missed a few episodes, missed a few weeks, but we're trying to play catch up now. Had some technical difficulties, had some illness, pretty scary illnesses. Jackie got to go to the hospital in an ambulance, and that was a scary day.
Ambulance, in the ambulance.
What did I say? Ambulance? That's what I said. And then a couple days
Just
after
a
that,
minor little,
just a minor thing.
minor heart attack.
Yeah,
It's okay.
But a few days after that, we went to Galveston.
We did.
We
all four kids, all four grandkids.
Yeah, 4 days, 3 nights.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
So we got to hang down in Galveston. We had some fun down there, spent some family time. All the kids were there.
And my
all
mama
the
was
grandbabies.
there.
Your mama was there.
Yeah.
So, so had some good times doing that. Other than that, business is going crazy, and we're kind of hitting the July slowdown. And those in the industry, we see it every year. You get past about a week past the 4th of July, and you start getting this slowdown because everybody's gotten their pools ready. Everybody's fixed all the equipment that needed to get fixed, for Memorial Day first, and and school out and all that stuff. And then the people that didn't do it for then, well, they did it for the 4th of July. And so everything's ready to go. And then right after the 4th of July, we get this slowdown. It's a little July doldrums. And
is that where we are?
Yes.
We're in the doldrums.
I mean, we're still busy enough. We got plenty of work for the guys, but it'll start picking up typically second week of August. It starts picking up. And going into September, and then we start getting into other things.
Because people swim through October. This year they're going to.
They'll swim through the 1st of October.
And
We start hitting like covers, people wanting to leave covers and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's gotten a little bit slower, but we're not worried. We needed a little bit slower because it was getting rough. But new stores doing well.
Yes, Flower Mound, Go Flomo. All the things, So all 4 stores
are killing it.
Are killing it, and our people are just ridiculously fabulous. We had a shout out today. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. Nene was at one of our friends, Stacy Cobb. She posted a picture of Nene and her granddaughter because when the Poolwerx truck comes up, she's like, Nay's here. Nay's here. We call it Renee. Nene. We call him Nene, but Renee. And there's a sweet picture on Facebook with them.
Renee's awesome. Renee's been with us over 20 years.
Yeah.
So he's our longest standing employee. And he's, one of our lead guys. He's one of our leaders on our team. And
we'll post that picture.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that picture and get it put up. But today.
What we talking about?
We're talking about poo.
What you got? I'm sorry.
It is Shart Week. So
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Shart Week. We started doing this last year. Last year I had Rudy Stankiewicz on with me, and we talked about all the different things that when they get in the pools, different ways that we need to handle it, some of the dangers that exist, the recommended treatment by CDC and some others in the industry. Some of the stuff's a little foggy because some of the stuff you'll say, well, this is okay, but the CDC really doesn't say that. On residential pools don't have to follow CDC recommendation. It's probably always recommended that you follow recommendations by people that do all the testing, the science, look at all the studies. But residential pools, you don't have to. Nobody's going to come knock on your door if you don't follow these processes and these steps to fix a pool after there's a fecal accident or something like that.
However,
first of all, if you're sick, if something got gastrointestinal issues going on, don't go swimming. Because there's a lot of stuff that can be in you that could work its way out of you that could be very dangerous for other people.
I'm already grossed out.
So if you're sick, don't go swimming. If there's a chance you may throw up, if there's a chance you may have the sharts, if there's a chance there may be some leakage, you don't need to be in the water where other people may be, because there's things, if you ingest them, prior to them being oxidized and destroyed by chlorine, you can make a lot of other people sick. And this is where you have like the epidemic type things that happen in public pools. A lot of times, a lot of these things that we're going to discuss, a lot of these things are easily and quickly killed by chlorine, by small amounts of chlorine. But it's more than just chlorine. It's also, is there a really good pH? Because the lower the pH, the more active chlorine is.
Right.
So if there are low amounts of chlorine, like in a public pool, it's very, very common for chlorine levels to drop. They'll take them up to a higher level, and the levels will drop during the day with all the heavy swimmer loads and stuff like that. And that can put the pool at risk. And then if the pH is not managed and allowed to get up, and the chlorine that is there becomes much weaker, then there's still a pretty good chance that some of these pathogens that are in the water can make people sick.
Right.
Also, high cyanuric levels. Commercial pools are monitored very closely with cyanuric levels, because cyanuric dumbs down your chlorine. And if your chlorine is dumbed down to the point where it can no longer oxidize and destroy these contaminants, then you're putting people at risk for anything, a pathogen that is introduced into the water. It can then, if it's not being killed fairly quickly, it can move around and somebody can ingest it, and now it becomes a real problem.
So when you say commercial pools, you're talking about like neighborhood pools?
Yes, neighborhood pools, hotel pools.
All the ones that, okay, yeah. Okay.
Places
so if you're
like,
going out of town, you go to a hotel, or if you have a neighborhood, I know we've both lived in areas
we've had neighborhoods that have neighborhood pools.
You got to be careful.
Kind of pools, big water parks.
Now, water parks.
Water parks, they're monitoring that water very, very, very closely, but they can only do so much.
Right.
And along with a high pH causing issues, you can also run into issues where there's dead spots. It doesn't matter if in the center of the pool the chlorine is good. If little Johnny goes over in the corner and sharts himself and leaves a little brown cloud, and that kind of sits there, maybe some of it slowly moves out, but because that corner's kind of dead, it just kind of sits there. And if the water's not being exchanged, there may not be any chlorine in that corner, and this pathogen can just live and live and live and live until little Susie comes, or grandma Mabel goes over and gets in that corner, goes underwater, comes up, ingests a little bit of the water, and since there wasn't any chlorine in that corner, that bad circulation allowed that pathogen to continue to live and make somebody sick. So all these things, it doesn't matter if you have really great chlorine in one point of the pool, if you have bad circulation. I preach and I preach and I preach and I preach. Good circulation is critical to properly maintaining your pool. And this isn't just for pathogens, that's for algae, that's for everything else. I was at a pool today, did a pool school for a gentleman. He's had the pool for 4 years, he's taken care of it himself for 4 years, and he's had problems for 4 years. And the biggest problem that I found in his pool was he had poor circulation. When they built his pool, he had those flush returns. He had 4 returns in the pool, decent sized pool, about 18,000 gallons. But he had these flush returns about the pool, and they were all just pointed straight out. So he's just kind of doing this with the water in the pool.
Instead of making it go.
He had a big tanning ledge that had a bubbler in the middle of it. No other water circulation going over that tanning ledge. The footwell of his spa was basically a little algae farm because he had one of those standpipes that come up that had the fountain on top that sprayed water at the top of the hot tub. So that Footwell in the spa wasn't getting any circulation. So algae would grow like crazy there. All right, it's to kill algae than it is to kill most pathogens. So, but if you're managing the algae, there's a pretty good chance you're managing the pathogens also. But if you're not killing the algae, there's a really good chance if something gets introduced into that water and it gets in that area where there is no circulation, that pathogen may be able to live for days and days and days and days. And it may not be somebody gets sick today, tomorrow, the next day, or whatever, but 3-4 days down the road, somebody ingests a little bit of that water, that pathogen finally maybe moved around, or somebody went down underwater in that area and they got a little bit of that water in their mouth, they ingested one of those pathogens. Now all of a sudden, 4 days later, somebody got sick. So if you're sick, don't go. Don't go. Stay out of the pool. And I mean, if it's your pool and you're the only person that swims in that pool, have at it. I don't care what you do to yourself.
Sure.
But if you're going to be having grandkids and stuff like that, you're not feeling good today, you've had an upset stomach, but the grandkids are coming in a couple days, don't go swimming. Get that under control, get the issue taken care of, and then after you're well, swim away. But don't put something in the water that may be there that somebody can ingest days and days later. Right. And fix that circulation. Get that circulation moving really well in the pool. Remove all those dead spots. Get those different style returns where you can turn the pool either clockwise or counterclockwise. Get that pool moving well so that everywhere's getting exchanged. Get rid of those fountains, y'all. Those spa fountains are... I mean, so many times the footwells in these spas are just like algae farms. And if there's algae growing well there's a decent chance that, pathogens can be growing there also. So let's remove these dead spots, get rid of those center fountains, put a side slotted jet that shoots out the side and not through the middle of the hole, like a 3/4 inch hole. It has a little side slot. I'll put a picture up. But get one of those, put that in the footwell. That will move the water like this because it's like this table. This is a footwell of the spa. If I put a side slot jet right here and it's just spraying out like this, well, that's going to turn all this water and that's going to work its way up and over into the pool. And so you'll have fresh water being exchanged down in this footwell. So let's get some real attention to that. And again, the pH, let's make sure the pH is doing well. And if you got high cyanuric levels, if you got really high cyanuric levels, you may have dumbed down your chlorine so much that even if you have a typically reasonably good chlorine level, but you have a stabilizer or cyanuric level that's 180, 200 parts per million, you may not be killing anything. That chlorine is so dumbed down that it's going to take a whole lot of chlorine to kill it.
So it doesn't do any good to go in and
it doesn't do anything if the chlorine's like in a headlock.
Yeah.
So, and that's what kind of like what CYA does with your chlorine. Now, if you do get high CYA levels, there are many ways to remove it, but that math that I always teach, that 7.5%. Now, a lot of the CDC recommendations and stuff like that on how to treat contaminated water and fecal accidents and stuff like that, that is really based on no CYA in the water.
Oh.
So they're talking about, they'll say 1 part per million of chlorine or 2 part per million of chlorine. And I teach, and I will always teach, the minimum amount of chlorine that you need in your water to kill algae faster than it multiplies is 7.5% of your CYA. So if your stabilizer level is 50 parts per million, which is a nice CYA level. I like that number very much. I like 30, 40, and 50. Above that, I'm dumbing down my chlorine a bit too much. It takes a little extra chlorine to keep it, so I don't like it. Anything below 30 in a residential pool, I'm really flirting with not protecting the chlorine enough from the UV rays from the sun. So, 30, 40, 50, I like. That's my happy spot. Well, if I got 50 parts per million of stabilizer in this pool, that's 7.5% of 50 is 3.75. All right, so I need to be maintaining 3.75 parts per million of free chlorine on a constant and consistent basis with a pH of 7.4, 7.6. CDC, their recommendations for commercial, I want to throw this in there, is below 7.5 and below.
Oh.
So they like the more active chlorine, and they don't like
They have more people coming in and out, I guess. And so
they want that chlorine to be more active.
Yeah.
So I'm good at 7.4, 7.6, even 7.7 with the chlorine level of 7.5% of the CYA. And that kills algae faster than it multiplies. And again, if I'm killing algae faster than it multiplies, I'm killing most pathogens faster than they can multiply.
Right.
And killing them in a reasonable amount of time. The chlorine's getting to them, oxidizing them, wiping them out. So they may float around for a little bit, but as long as I got that good circulation and I'm keeping 7.5% of my CYA in free chlorine, that's going to kill most of those germs, viruses, parasites, stuff like that. So when the CDC, when they say 1 part per million and 2 part per million, that's the minimum levels in a commercial pool. But again, they're not calculating in stabilizer. So I'm going to say, I'll go out on a limb here, and I'm safe with it because if I say 3.75 and your CYA is at 50, that's better than 1 or 2. So I'm safe. I didn't go under.
There you go.
I did not go under. So I'm good at saying that. If they say 2 parts per million, then to maintain for a certain amount of time, I'm going to say 15% of your CYA. So if there's something I need to kill that they're saying 2 parts per million of chlorine, pH of 7.5 or below, with an exposure of this amount of time, since they said 2%, I'm going to say double the 7.5.
Okay.
And go 15% of your CYA. So if there was a solid stool, which we'll get here in a minute, if there's a solid stool and they say 2 as opposed to 1, I'm going to say 15% of my 50, because I got 50 CYA. So that means 7.5 parts per million of chlorine for that length of time.
Right.
To destroy the pathogen that's in the water. So I just wanted to put that out there. Now, some of this is, may not completely jive with what is written, but again, a lot of what is written for commercial, and we're talking residential.
Right. So much smaller, such a smaller,
Yes. So let's go to break. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the diseases, some of the kill times that the CDC and other organizations
they have
recommend.
to say about it. Yeah.
And we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back.
The pool's a mess, and the water is green. How much acid? How much chlorine? You tested the water, but what does it mean? Take a dive into the deep end.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Deep End with Frank and Jackie. We're here with
Frank in Shart Week.
Shart Week. Okay,
so we're going to be talking about poop
in the pool,
like that in the pool.
It's gross, but it's real and it has to be addressed.
You need to you need to know how to treat this.
Yeah,
because if it happens in your pool, because I hear way too many people. Somebody says, hey, this kid pooped in my pool, what do I do? Or somebody cut their head and bled all in the pool, what do I do? And a lot of times, pool owner responses, and probably even some pool pros, God help us, their response is, well, that's what your chlorine's for. like there's nothing special
Take
you
it
need
out,
to do.
remove
Yeah.
it, you're fine. Go in.
Well, no, they don't. I mean, yeah, they say scoop out the poo and you're done.
Yeah,
but
that's what I
there's a
mean.
little more to that.
Yeah,
There's a little more to that because there's things in what comes out of our bodies that is not healthy. It's fine going out, but it's not fine coming in. So there's certain things that we need to do, and I wanted to talk about some of the diseases that are common, not common, I guess you would say, but that are frequently discussed. Let's go that direction. There's some diseases like Pseudomonas. Pseudomonas is like the swimmer's ear.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody's had that, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody's had the swimmer's ear.
Well, here's a scary thing for you. Pseudomonas, there's some reports that came out. Roy Vore, who is a well-known microbiologist in the industry. Me and Rudy talked about this last year.
Yeah.
Roy Vore did some studies, and he found out that over the last few decades, I don't remember exactly how many decades it was, but he went out, pulled all the numbers, and there's been more people die from Pseudomonas than Cryptosporidium, Giardia, Legionella combined. So,
Wow.
But I mean, I think it's because it's so common that it gets enough people that may be compromised, you know, immune-wise.
Yeah.
And so, and occasionally it gets somebody really, really bad. So it
We
kills.
don't think it's that big of a deal.
We don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah,
But, you know, your
okay.
kid, you know, if you've had a kid that's had swimmer's ear, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's
You've had that. I mean,
it's a real struggle. I
Yeah,
mean, it's one of the most painful things you can go through because it's in the center of your head. It hurts like crazy, all kinds of inflammation. But Pseudomonas is very common. People complain about it all the time. But here's a little thing: if you got Pseudomonas, is easily killed by chlorine. It is within a couple minutes of being introduced into a pool that has even the minimum amount of allowable chlorine in it, it will die within a few minutes.
Wow.
So if you contracted Pseudomonas from a body of water, there was no chlorine in that water. That water was not being sanitized.
Really?
It could be maybe it was at somebody's house. It got introduced somehow, some way.
Oh my goodness!
But if that person was not managing that pool well, and say they had an all-day party, say it's 4th of July, and people started swimming in the morning, they're swimming all the way to the evening, and all that chlorine got locked up and wiped out during the day, so there's no chlorine left to handle even the easiest to kill pathogen, then that Pseudomonas can set up in your body and cause you issues. Because it's a painful thing. Nobody wants to get it. But if you got Pseudomonas at a public pool or at a residential pool, it's one, they weren't keeping the chlorine up where it should be, or possibly, this is a huge possibility, that pool isn't circulated well. So there are dead spots in that pool. We keep coming back to that. It doesn't matter how good the chemistry is where we test it. It matters how good it is where everybody may end up. So if you got Pseudomonas in a pool, there's a really good chance there was no chlorine or very, very little chlorine in that water.
And bad circulation.
Yeah, or bad circulation. And whatever water they ingested, there was really good chance there was no available chlorine in that spot where they ingested that water.
Wow.
So I just want to make a point of that. But another really common one is Giardia. Now, Giardia is, we hear more about it. It's the symptoms are really bad. It's I believe it's a gastrointestinal disease. But when people get it, Giardia is a little more harder to kill. You know, the Pseudomonas is easy to kill. Boom. Well, Giardia, if it gets introduced in the pool and where the Pseudomonas is gone and destroyed within just a couple minutes, Giardia can last with the allowable 1 part per million, no CYA, 1 part per million of chlorine in the water, which is allowable in a public pool. With that 1 part per million, if Giardia gets introduced, it can take about 45 minutes to kill it. So if it gets introduced, it can swim around for a little bit and before somebody ingests it, where Pseudomonas can bam.
Right.
So if there's a Giardia outbreak in a pool, they typically don't realize it until several people get sick. And it's considered more of like an epidemic type, disease.
Yeah.
So Giardia is something that's harder to kill, but the guidelines from the CDC to kill Giardia is 2 parts per million of chlorine. And I don't think they're considering any CYA, any stabilizer in this water. So 2 parts per million of chlorine, so I would go 15% of your CYA is where I would say to do in a residential pool for 25 minutes. So if there is a solid stool that is gotten into the water, the process is first, remove the poo.
Right.
You got to scoop it out, get it out. You can go flush it in a toilet. You can throw it over the fence in the neighbor's pool. You can do whatever you want to with it.
Don't do that.
But you got to get it out of the water, because there's stuff in, even a solid turd, there's stuff in there that can make people sick. So if there is a solid poo in the pool, you scoop it out, and then you need to bring the CDC requirements are 2 parts per million of free chlorine for a minimum of 25 minutes.
Everybody out for 25 minutes.
Everybody out for 25 minutes. Whatever you scooped, if you're going to put a little liquid chlorine or maybe some calcium hypochlorite in there, spike the chlorine a little bit. Whatever you scoop the turd out with, you want to stick it in the pool, because now you're treating that water. So you're treating that water to kill the germs. Well, the germs are now definitely on that net or whatever you use to scoop it out with. So you can just put that in the pool. That'll treat it also. But again, I'm going to say instead of 7.5% of your CYA, 15% of your CYA. So 7.5 parts per million of chlorine. That's swimmable. I mean, after the 25
Better safe
minutes.
than sorry.
Yes. After the 15 minutes, if you want to go swimming in that, you're perfectly safe. 7.5 parts per million is not a whole lot. Because we went from 7.5% of 50 to 15% of 50 is 7.5 parts per million.
Yeah.
You can swim in that. You're good all the way up to 10, probably even beyond that. But if you got really high CYA, well, then maybe you need to, you shouldn't let your CYA get that high. You need to manage that, and so you can better manage your pool.
Exactly.
All right. But if it's not a solid stool, this where it gets bad. Because this is where Cryptosporidium is, that's the one that's well known for getting a lot of people sick, epidemic type sicknesses that happen typically at public pools. Well, here's the thing. Cryptosporidium, it can live at 1 part per million of chlorine. Again, I think we're considering no CYA in the water, so that's 1 part of good working chlorine at a good pH of 7.5 and below. It can live for 10.5 days in 1 part per million of chlorine.
That's horrible. That's scary.
10.5 days.
Yeah.
And so if somebody sharts in the pool and nobody sees it, that Cryptosporidium can be making people sick for 10.5 days, even if the allowed amount of chlorine is in that pool. The minimum allowed amount of chlorine is in that pool. All right. Now, as you double the chlorine, it cuts that time in half. It's chlorine exposure. So if it was at 2 parts per million with no CYA, that means half that. So 5.25 days is how long that crypto would live. If it was 3 parts per million, well, then it would have been 1/3 of the 7.5. So it would have been 2.5 parts, 3 parts per million, or 2.5 days or 3 days that crypto could live. So crypto is more of a problem. Okay. And typically, if crypto is going to be passed into a pool, it's going to be passed through diarrhea. It's going to be a runny poo. So that, all right, it's not just somebody has to poo in the water. They don't have to just completely shart in the pool. This could be they went to the restroom and sat on a toilet and had their runny poo and didn't clean themselves well, and then went back to the pool, went back to the pool and brought some of it with them because they didn't clean themselves well. And they jump in the pool, the crypto's introduced into the pool. So it doesn't have to be, it ain't like you can watch your pool and as long as you don't see a brown cloud, you're safe. It doesn't have to be that way. It can just be some leftover that's on somebody that gets introduced into the water. And again, even if you have the minimum amount of allowed chlorine in the water, it's going to live for days and days where it can constantly make people sick. So diarrhea is bad. And if it does happen in a pool, you have to get out all the little chunkies you can, all the little pieces and corn and all that other stuff. Get it out of the pool the best you can. And first of all, everybody out of the pool. I mean, it's closed the pool. And nobody swims. Nobody swims. And by the way, something I may have not mentioned, when you're treating a pool, the pump needs to be running, circulation system needs to be running if you're treating for a fecal accident or something like that.
If anybody has the diarrhea.
If somebody has the runny poos, if the Pepto did not work for him today. All right, so if the diarrhea gets introduced into the water, it's not all diarrhea has Cryptosporidium in it, but there's a decent chance.
It has something in it that's not right.
And even Cryptosporidium, it isn't like if you ingest this and you get infected, it isn't like, call the family in because you're about to be an ex-person. If you're immune compromised, you're at risk. Dehydration is a big problem with people that get Cryptosporidium because you basically pee out your butt. And you do it for days and days and days, and you cannot keep any fluids in your body. And you end up getting dehydrated, which makes you weaker, makes your immune system even worse. So that's the big problem with it. Nobody wants to get it. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible thing.
Well, I feel like you've dove on so many pools.
I've gotten sick.
You've gotten so sick in pools that I feel like it's because they just had a party and there were things that have happened.
Or it's a green pool.
It's a green pool.
Well,
and he'll go and do a leak detection, or he'll go and do
I've had to dive in some nasty pools.
And 2 days later, he's like, I don't feel right. And I 100% think that
it very well could be that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, y'all. Ducks and geese, their poop can have a waterfowl version or an avian version of Cryptosporidium.
They're gross.
I don't know if there's ever been any reported cases of people coming down and they've isolated it to an avian version of Cryptosporidium, but it definitely can make people sick. But I don't know if there's ever been any tie-in to duck poop making somebody sick.
Other critters though too.
Yeah, and we'll get to the other critters.
Okay.
But the Cryptosporidium, the way you treat it is basically, and again, this is CDC requirements for a public pool. And remember, they're happy with just 1 part per million of no CYA. If you get Cryptosporidium in your pool, and they'll allow up to, they do make a note on this, that they will, there's a certain level of CYA that they will tolerate, but they want 20 parts per million of chlorine, and it's for 12.75 hours. That isn't just bump it up to 20 parts per million and then 12.75 hours later, you're good to swim. No, you have to keep it at 20 parts per million for 12.75 hours. That is a half a day, more than a half a day, that you have to keep the chlorine above 20 parts per million.
Wow.
And it gets really hard to test chlorine once it gets above 10 parts per million.
Yeah.
So you need to have somebody that has a really good test kit, a fast DPD kit, or some of the photometers like what we use in our store. We can test high levels of chlorine.
Right. Yeah.
But your typical at-home test kit, even a good professional Taylor test kit, over 10 parts per million, it's a guess. So you really need to have the water tested frequently, and it tested with a good test kit that can test up to 20 parts per million. But all right, but that's with no CYA. With up to 15 parts, 15 parts per million of CYA, of stabilizer in the water, it goes to 28 hours. So because they know it dumbs down. That's 15 parts per million, y'all. And where's your pool at right now?
Yeah. Wow.
Is it 40?
Where are you at?
It's your pool's gonna be much higher than that.
Yeah.
So if it's a public pool and they have more than 15 parts per million, since that is where the studies have been done on, and by the way, these studies were done in a laboratory. They weren't done in a pool outside, they were done in a laboratory. So if you have a public pool and this is the treatment you have to follow, the first thing they have to do is get the CYA down below 15 parts per million. And that means draining part of the pool. I mean, this pool is going to be closed for a few days.
Yeah.
So they got to drain the pool down, get it down below 15 parts per million, and then they have to keep the chlorine at 20 parts per million for 28 hours. So there are some reports. I don't know if the CDC has allowed this, and I think this would probably be something I would consider allowable for a residential pool where it can't be an epidemic. It may get a family sick, so I guess they'll lighten up a little bit. And you know the health of your family. So,
Sure.
But there are some reports that say you can add 3 hours to the treatment plan for every 10 parts per million of CYA. So if we were at 12.75 and you had 50 parts per million of CYA, that suggests you can increase that by 15 hours, 3 hours per 10 parts per million. So you can increase that exposure time, that chlorine exposure time and kill time to 15 more hours on top of the 12.75. And there's reports that say you can do that. Is that completely legit? I don't know. I'm not a biochemist. I would think yes. I would think that that's probably.
It seems like
yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go. Yeah. Hey, you're going to be safe if you do this. But here's the thing: err on the high side. If you're not sure, go more chlorine, go more time. It's better than somebody getting sick. If somebody sharted in the pool, guys, it's serious stuff. Somebody can get really, really sick on that. So let's err on the high side. Let's go more hours. Let's go a little bit higher chlorine, for the longer periods, and let's not take a risk. Let's get that chlorine way up there. Let's keep it there for a few days.
Right.
And again, while you're doing this treatment, don't be killing the pump at night. You want that pump running 24/7, circulating well. Make sure your circulation's good. Hopefully you did that before somebody sharted in the pool. But if you didn't, get it right now and brush, do whatever you can to keep that water moving around in that high chlorine and
Do the big five.
Eliminate any possibilities.
Yeah.
Let's talk about if somebody busts their head. If somebody busts their head, they bleed in the pool.
Blood. Okay.
All right, the recommendations on that are the same as if you had a solid stool. If you had a good.
Really? So it's about the same kind of chemical going into
it's the same treatment for blood as it would be for a solid stool. And I'm guessing that's because there's diseases in the blood that they're typically going to be much
Depending on the
easier to
person.
kill.
Sure.
Vomit. If somebody throws up in the pool, same as a solid stool. You treat it some way. Of course, scoop out, all
Get that stuff gone.
pieces of hot dog and everything else that came out with it. Scoop all that crap out. Everybody out of the pool. Treat it the same way you would a solid stool, and then everything should be fine.
Okay.
We talked about ducks and geese and stuff like that. Their poop. I mean, if you get ducks in your pool, I mean, you could freak out, I guess, if you want to, about the poo. I hate ducks. I
like ducks in a pond that are 6,000
I like
miles
ducks
away from
flying
me.
around. I like ducks at lakes. I do not like ducks in
The ones
pools.
that walk over from our pond, our
Yes.
neighborhood
But
pond, I don't like them.
I've caught them in our backyard a couple times.
Yes.
Luckily, we haven't had one poop in our pool this year.
Yeah, no,
But,
we've shoot them off.
A duck pooping in the pool, a dead animal. If you find a dead animal in your pool, it's basically treat it as a solid stool. Get your chlorine up to double what your minimum is to safely sanitize your pool. Take it up to double that. Like I said, if you're following my math, 7.5% of CYA, so take it up to 15% CYA, and I would treat it for an hour. Before I attempted to get in the water. A dead animal, you don't know what it brought with it, but and a lot of times when things pass, they'll poo. So if they passed and pooed, I guess it depends on what killed them. If they just drowned, okay, maybe they weren't sick at all. But if they did poo,
so sorry, I was gonna get me a daisy because she's like, okay, sorry.
If the animal did poo in the pool, I would treat it like a solid stool.
Right.
Except for the one exception.
Which is?
Raccoons. Kind of a cool animal and all that, but if you got a raccoon problem, you need to get it resolved. Raccoons like to poop in water, and the reason they like to poop in water is it hides their scent. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody's ever asked a raccoon, "Hey, why do you poo in water?" But the theory is they poop in water to hide the scent, so predators won't smell their poo and know that there's a raccoon around. Now they also wash their food, and everybody thinks that's so cool. Raccoons wash their food. Oh, they're such a clean animal. Then they'll poop right there where they're washing their food. So they ain't that freaking clean. All right, but the problem with raccoon poo.
Okay.
Raccoon has, they're known to carry a roundworm. It's the raccoon roundworm. It's got a name like that long that I can't even try to pronounce. I can't say populate. So, but this roundworm larvae, when they poop, if a raccoon is infected and it has all these eggs in it, and in its digestive system, it can have 250,000 larvae in 1 gram of raccoon poop. All right, that's a lot of larvae. But you know what? It only takes one of these larvae for you to ingest it and it to get into your stomach and hatch. And then it's a worm, it's a few centimeters long, and it will burrow through your intestines and get into your bloodstream, and it wants to go to your brain. And if this roundworm larvae or this roundworm, I guess now.
Yeah.
If it gets into your brain,
Now it's an adult.
you're a dead person. There's no treatment for it. You cannot treat for this larva.
From a raccoon.
From a raccoon. This cute little animal that washes its hands.
I just picked up Daisy Buchanan, a cute little animal that
I don't know what her poo would have in it.
Just because they're cute doesn't mean that they...
But a raccoon larvae is not something you want to mess with. So if a raccoon poops in your pool, there is no chlorine treatment for it. You can't get enough chlorine. The little eggs are very, very, very tough, and chlorine cannot penetrate that and kill that larvae. So you have to filter it out. And How do you guarantee you filtered it out?
That was my question. How do you know that you've...
Well, some of the recommendations for, like if they find raccoon poop in a commercial pool, their number one recommendation is drain the pool. Clean it out, replace all the filter media. If it's big sand filters, replace all that sand. You got cartridges, replace the cartridges. You got DE, you get rid of the grids. You drain and clean that pool to get rid of that larvae. Now, another way, that's pretty drastic, is to completely drain the pool because of one little raccoon poop. But one of the recommended ways is to achieve 4 turnovers in the pool. If you have a really good circulated pool, 4 turnovers. So your pump running constantly, you brushing like crazy, you backwashing like crazy if you have a filter that backwashes, and take, 4 turnovers in a very, very well circulated pool equals 98% of that water going through that filter. I don't know if I'd stop at 4.
Is there a test?
I may want to go 7 or 8. You can't. You
could test it though to see if you.
Well, here's one thing you can do, because not every raccoon is infected. If you got raccoon poo in your pool, if you can catch that raccoon, maybe mid-wipe or something, you go out and snatch that raccoon up and take him and have him tested. And if he doesn't have the roundworm larvae in him, you're good to go. Good luck with that.
Because they're crazy critters.
They're like the trash pandas are basically like little ninjas.
Yeah,
good luck catching a raccoon.
Yeah.
But if you'll achieve the minimum of 4 turnovers in a well circulated pool and then replace your filter media, then that's considered by some to be an acceptable treatment and acceptable process to making that pool safe to swim. So, first get the poo out and then dispose of it. And then
I'm going to ask a weird question. How do you know if it's raccoon poo? What does it look like? Do we know? Are you going to post a picture?
Well, raccoon.
Is it indicative? Does it look different?
I don't know of any other animals that poo in pools. I've seen dead animals in pools, but I don't know of any other animals that poo in pools.
Okay.
Now,
so if there is poo, it's probably a raccoon.
And you've seen raccoons around. There's probably a pretty good chance. Now they're only going to do it if you have like a shallow step, or if you have a tanning ledge or something like that.
Okay.
So that's where they'll do it.
Okay.
And it looks like little, like dog poos or whatever. I'll see if I can find a picture. I know I got a picture of raccoon poo.
I have to have a visual of, But
if you see raccoons around,
and
you see signs of raccoons, then there's a good chance if there's water in the pool, it's going to be a raccoon poop. And I would address it accordingly.
Okay.
Now, so the best way to handle raccoon poop is get rid of the raccoons. Don't make your backyard a good environment for them. There's motion sensor sprinklers that they don't like that. There's sound emitters that will keep raccoons away.
What are they attracted to? The
water?
Just the water?
They're attracted to water, but they're also attracted to food and trash. That's why people call them trash pandas.
In the backyard.
They love to get into people's trash. So don't leave
your
out.
Stuff after you've had a party.
Make sure your trash can lids are on really good. Your bushes and stuff around the backyard, keep those cut up high. And that's for all critters. That's for snakes and everything else.
Man.
If you'll keep them cut up high to where they're 18 inches off the ground and not bushed all the way down to the ground, critters want a place to hide. And raccoons, they don't like loud noises. They don't like bright lights. You can get motion sensor, really bright lights that
and they'll
will
scurry
repel
away.
them. People have said to put different fake critters out there and it'll keep them away. It doesn't work. Not with raccoons. They're too freaking smart. But you can put like predator urine, like fox urine or coyote urine or whatever kind of urine.
And where do you buy that? I'm just asking.
Well, you can go down to the fox farm.
I was about to say,
They'll milk a couple foxes for you.
They milk the fox. I was asking.
But you can put that around the yard. But it has to be frequently applied. It ain't like you can put it in once and then it's the pee's there forever. No, if it rains, it's done.
Yeah.
There's also professional exterminators, stuff like that, critter ridders and things that they will have methods, professional methods to keep raccoons away. But if you can keep them away, that's your best answer. Most people, they get raccoon poop in their pool and they just don't care. They'll swim with it, and like I said, not every raccoon. It's a roll of the dice. Not every raccoon has the roundworm, but there's been a lot of people die from the raccoon roundworm. There's been people get it from just walking around. Kids picking stuff up.
Oh, that it's on, and then
they put their hands in their mouth, and they got some of that roundworm larvae in their mouth, and it goes through them. There's just different ways to get it, but the raccoon one is the scariest one to me.
Yeah.
Raccoon roundworm, that's the one because I can't kill it. I can't kill it. All I can do is filter it out. The egg is big enough to easily be filtered out, but did you filter it out?
Right.
Did it make it to a skimmer? Did it make it to the main drain? Did your cleaner pick it up? I believe it's around 50 microns, which is large enough for dang near, any pool filter that I know of is going to filter that out. But when you backwash, did it backwash out? Is it going to make it through back out into the pool?
Right.
So that's why they say after you've done these 4 turnovers, you need to replace your media, whether it be your cartridges, your grids, whatever. I would minimum just backwash the fire out of it. And like I said, you can't get enough chlorine in there to kill it. So chlorine's not going to do you any good on raccoon poop. But that's about as far as I want to go with poo talk. I appreciate you guys joining us for Shart Week. And thank you to our sponsors. We've got Blu-ray XL. We got Cyclone Filter Tools. We've got Poolwerx. If there's not a Poolwerx near you, become the Poolwerx near you. We got See You Later Metal Eliminator. That's one of my favorite products on the planet.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we got J&D, makers of, or Fluidra, manufacturers of J&D and Polaris Pool products.
Love you guys.
So appreciate you guys. Make sure you catch the rest of our shows. Check out our YouTube channel. Find it youtube.com/@DeepInFrank. You'll find us there. If you're in the DFW area, make sure you join our DFW Pool Owner group. We put a lot of info in there, and we also have a lot of specials that we offer or about to start offering for the members of the DFW Pool Owner group. And this month we are giving away $5,000 to 3 different members. Well, 3 different members will split $5,000 worth of just giveaways that we're doing in our DFW Pool Owner group.
That's
so
crazy.
Y'all take care. Get on top of your pool. Keep the poo out of the pool. And
if you come to the DFW area, come see us at one of our
come
stores.
see us. Yeah, we got
come see us.
Poolwerx North Richland Hills, Poolwerx Roanoke, Poolwerx Lantana, and Poolwerx Flower Mound. Hit us up. We'd be happy to meet you.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all take care.
Have a great week.